kid from the bush who grew into a legend in his own lunchtime, former SAS soldier Michael J. Malone has seen it all. This is Never Die Wondering, Mick Malone in his own words, hosted by the man himself, Mick Malone, along with Toby Malone, as they examine this long, storied career in the Australian Special Forces. Join us each week for behind-the-scenes insight, exclusive readings, and brutally honest truths from a true original. Welcome to Never Die Wondering. Welcome to episode 22 of Never Die Wondering, Mick Malone in his own words, a podcast that explores the life and legend of Michael John Malone, OAM. My name is Toby Malone, Mick's son and co-host of this podcast series, joined by the man whose name is in the title, Mick Malone. G'day, Dad.
How you going, mate?
I'm all right.
We should cut it out.
What's that?
We should cut that nonsense out.
What? There's an introduction.
Don't sound like I'm better than I was.
Well, I mean, when you write a book, that's generally the process. I mean, there's been a lot of people who've said, did all this stuff happen? And then you go, oh, no, I just made it all up. People are often saying to you about your memory. There's, oh, you've got such a prodigious memory. And you know, of course you're going to make yourself sound pretty good when you write a book about yourself, right? You're not going to. So no, I feel as though everything in here is fairly accurate, even if there's a little bit of embellishment or burnishment.
Embellishment, yeah, that'd be it.
Well, I mean, I certainly don't want anyone to think that this thing is full of lies. I think it's all a fairly honest. It's an honest account.
It's basically the truth with a few things thrown into the garnish the truth.
Well, I think that that's the thing about memory, though, because I mean, so today we're going to be talking about the routine of what you were doing when you were around Nui Dat and getting out in R&R, and so memories for things like that, you're going to have little glimpses of vivid memories of a time and a place and a person and an event, but it's not going to be fully filled in. It's not going to be every single minute of every single day. It's not like watching a movie of yourself. And so I think it's inevitable that you're going to remember the really good things and the really bad things or the traumatic things. And we'll get to some of those tougher things later when the bullets start flying. So yeah, it's so I think for those people who want this to be letter perfect, I don't think that's really possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, today we're going to be reading the chapter about life around Nui Dat, the routine of the day-to-day around the camp at Nui Dat. I mean, that the good memories of that space, that place in the world.
It felt safe, even though we were getting mortared every so often. It felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
You're around your mates. The beer was cold in the boozer, 15 cents a can. And there was always a new movie on at the movie house that night, even though the chooks used to put the reels on the wrong way.
Yeah, we've heard about that.
Always bugging us around those chooks. But we loved them dearly.
And that space in the world where Nui Dat was, that piece of land, has that been reclaimed by the jungle now, or
it's still a bit of a hill there, but they've turned most of it into a big quarry. Luscombe Field, the airfield where the C-130s landed, that's gone. They were all houses, shacks or something all the way along the thing. I think the rubber plantation's gone. The Long Tan Memorial is still there because they need that for tourism.
Right.
A lot of people go up there every year to see it. But getting in is a problem. But once you got the key and you got the guide to lead you in, apparently you can get in.
Right. And we're going to hear in maybe 4 or 5 chapters' time about how you went back to Vietnam much later for Dave Fisher. But you stayed in the city. You didn't get to go out into this Nui Dat area at that time. Is that right?
No, that's right.
Right.
We were in the bush when it happened, so we didn't know till we got off the chopper.
Yeah, but I mean, when you went back in
Sorry?
2018, when you went back to Vietnam to pick up Dave Fisher.
Yeah, we went into North Vietnam,
Right,
Hanoi,
right, right. And so,
long way away from Longtown.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but look, let's read the chapter and let's get into to some reading about the life around the camp at Nui Dat. So today we're going to be reading chapter 19 of Two Ranks on the Road, 35 Years of Australian Special Forces Service by Michael J. Malone OAM, published in 2024 by Imprimatur Books, Perth. This chapter, entitled Routine and R&R, covers pages 151 to 156 in the print edition. The ebook may have slightly different numbering, so follow along from the beginning of the chapter. As we read, the body of the text will be read by author Mick Malone. Whenever we come across a footnote, we'll pause in the least disruptive way possible, and I will read the footnotes. And now, without further ado, Two Ranks on the Road.
Chapter 19, Routine and R&R, 1969. Piss and Bad Manners. Settling into daily routine of the SAS camp at the DAT was calm and fun. As the wet season approached, we added Cool Hand Lucan to our repertoire and saw a new movie every night. We slept, we ate, we drank, played serious volleyball games, and manned all the various duties around the camp, from underwater panel beating to duty driver, to ops driver, to scrubbing out the dunnies. As we worked, stories filtered in of activism going on back home, and we had reason to be dirty on the wharfies back in Australia because they refused to load the bulk carrier Japarut with our Christmas grog and other supplies.
Footnote: the RAN later commissioned the Chaparral when it became the HMAS Chaparral, and it was thereafter loaded by RAN members on a naval base. Thanks to Mike Wells for this detail.
Um, Equally, the posties went on strike and refused to handle Vietnam-bound mail, earning them the equal disdain of the soldiery. We saw these as treasonable acts to deprive soldiers on active service their supplies. Menzies War, indeed.
Footnote: posters and flyers were produced exhorting everyone on RTA to, quote, whack a wharfie and, quote, punch a postie. I know I had a flyer in my bag when we RTA'd.
When we couldn't rely on items from home, we turned to the black market or pinched things as we found them. We grabbed tin, corrugated iron, timber from the engineers, or we'd trade with cartons of beer on other things. One of the Q-stall blokes would trade menthol cigarettes for poncho liners.
Footnote: the Vietnamese made camouflage poncho liners, which you could use as a nice soft blanket to wrap yourself up in. Everyone had one and would pin them inside the big American weather ponchos when it was cold. The Vietnamese would swap these things for cartons of Cool and Salem menthol cigarettes on the black market.
Everything was tickety-boo until one day our black market bloke got caught. He was responsible for bringing the laundry to and fro, uh, in and out, and would carry all the contraband on the truck underneath the laundry to carry down to Baria. The whole bottom underneath the laundry was covered in hundreds of cigarettes cartons like bricks and to trade for poncho liners. And this one day they were waiting for him at the gate where he was caught red-handed. We lost all our cartons of cigarettes and nobody got a poncho liner. Just about everyone in the squadron was involved in that.
But no, I don't know what happened to him after that. He might have gotten kicked up the arse, or he got away with it. In any case, trading with the locals was the only way we could get these poncho liners, which was absolutely against the law. The MPs hated that sort of thing.
Yeah, around the lines we tended to socialise only with other members of L Troop. Stanley Ockerbilbra, Lawrence Burma Meelan, Pancho Kirkes, Andy Waring, Mick Fagan, Mal Ticker Gray, Ian Moore, Paul Callaghan, Ian Baggs of Styles, Gary Dorr, and John Z. Fraser. Kerry Campbell and others were the mainstays. We generally caught up with the other troops in the mess or the boozer, and as already stated, the only aggro was generally created by the four-troop NZSAS Kiwis, who somehow took exception to many of our younger louts, although we all got on very well with our Kiwi brothers in the main. We were all around 21 and generally full of piss and bad manners. We had a few diggers who were on their second tour of Vietnam, including Paul Callahan.
Footnote: Paul completed 2 tours of Vietnam, the first with 2 RAR and the second with 3 Squadron. He stayed on for a while before taking discharge and becoming a WA copper. He later showed great bravery in a robbery shootout at a fast food place on the south of the river.
Keith Jackson, Ray Brown, Jock Lorimer, Bags of Styles, Freddie Roberts, Juvie Matten, Andy Waring, and a few others, all of whom tended to be a bit more mature than us first-timers. Many of the Kiwis were Borneo veterans and thought that they were the real deal and we weren't. They were desperate to work separately from us, but were told that they were under the command of Reg Beasley, AOC, and they were commanded by Lieutenant Terry Cully and Woe-2 Eric Ball, who I really saw and certainly never spoke to. They generally worked on their own in the bush. However, some patrols became integrated after a time. Sergeant Fred Bad News Barclay with us once and was always very uneasy when we lit up in the LUPs, although we never saw it as a problem since Sir Charles smoked like chimneys. Fred was a pretty sharp operator and had good drills, although they were at times in conflict with ours. Our nighttime LUP drill was very different to that which Fred preferred. He was always very much more on edge than the rest of us. We defer to his experience in most things, but would have preferred it if he was in someone else's patrol. And he only came out with us once because we lost John G. For something or other. Probably shown the door of truth be told. Sonny Taniora also came out with us once and spent much of the time arguing with Roberts over which direction to go. He was a big angular sort of cove with an attitude in the bush, but lots of fun in the boozer. They were a joyous bunch, especially with a guitar in hand, but they tended to drive us mad with the singing of 10 guitars every night. We weren't sure if they knew any other songs. One night when they were playing 10 guitars, Roger Marker was so incensed with Billy Campbell's yarping, he broke the guitar over Billy's head to shut him up. Billy sat there with the strings over his head and never missed a beat. I remember. Ironically, it was the last guitar they had till they could get a resupply. On you, Billy. R.I.P. That aside, there were many good blokes amongst the four-troop crowd, such as Buzz Attini, Roger Marker, Kevin Herawini, Mick Crocker, Bro Terry, and eventually Sam Petty. Sam was an enormous human who used to run around the hill carrying 250 cal ammo tins full of rocks. He was on a big fitness kick, but to us young louts he was a tosser. We stood on the hill and hurled empty beer cans at him. You wait till I get back, you boys. I'm going to kill yous all. He never did, of course. Big Sam was notorious for the Nick McKelvey incident in the Diggers Boozer, and we were very wary of him. When he approached me one day, I thought, what the fuck have I done to Sam? He said, hey boy, I hear you're going to Hong Kong and R&R pretty soon. I was wondering if you could do me a favour while you're there. There's a ladies' underwear shop on the corner, no memory of the name of the street. And there's a negligee in the window in black, lacy black. Can you drop in there and buy it for me? Size X. I'll be forever grateful. Well, Sam, I'll see what I can do. I flew to Hong Kong with Pan Am 7 in a 707 and lied about my rank when they called for E7s, which was about Woe 2. I stood up and moved to the front, the Yanks running the R&R centre had no idea about Aussie rank and uniform. But their RAR blokes in the room exploded. These are baggy ass, they. I kept my head down and kept walking. I took a room in the Grand Hotel in Kowloon, and the first thing I did was, after removing my uniform, was to hide $20 US in the room.
Footnote. The day I packed up, ready to go back to Vietnam, I searched for my $20, but no matter what I did or where I looked, that $20 was gone. I can only assume that one of the cleaning ladies found it. It would have been 2 weeks' wages to her, so it didn't worry me overly. The only problem now was that I was close to flat broke.
I jumped on a skinny Hong Kong tram and headed uptown. I jumped I jumped off at a random corner, and blow me down, there was Big Sam's shop with the lacy undergarment in the window. I went in and bought a size X and headed back to the hotel. That night I went out looking for my own Susie Wong and found her in a strip club. Being a naive youth with no experience, excuse me, I was hers at first sight. She was very pretty and spoke good English. When the club closed, she took me home with her in her MGB, and we were together for 4 days until it was time for me to go. We drove everywhere, even up to the New Territories places I would not have seen without her. I'd bought $700 US with me and now had none left. I was relying on the $20 hidden in the hotel room, but alas. When we got back to Ton Airport in Saigon, I didn't even have enough for a cup of coffee. Sam's present would give me a few quid till next payday, but when I walked down to Four Troop Lines to meet Sam, he came out with a concerned look on his face. Did you get it, bro? I threw him the package and said, You owe me $20 US. He threw his enormous arms around me and hugged me. If you've been hugged by a gorilla or a large bear, then you'll know what I felt. Sam was now my best friend, and I couldn't buy a beer in the boozer for weeks. His cranky demeanour had changed, thankfully. I know all my scaly mates were happy that the big bloke had calmed down and threats of death were off the table. Big Sam became notorious later when he went ape in the Badco VC club in Vung Tau whilst on R&C. We never did find out why he went off, but as he was smashing tables and chairs, two MPs stood in the background witnessing the whole thing and recording the damage. He was charged and led away. He had to fork out hundreds to get the furniture repaired or replaced. His patrol bailed him out and were told to put him to bed. The single time I was classified as a hero was when I drove the Mark III truck down to Asco Storage Yard near Luscombe Airfield to pick up a pallet of VB. After the fork driver loaded the pallet, the supervisor went inside for something or other, and while he wasn't looking, we stuck a second pallet on the truck. We'd paid for one, and the second was gash. We hightailed it out of the yard, quick smart, and headed for the SAS camp in our boozer. When the boys realised what we'd done, a great cheer rang out, and we drank very cheap beer for quite a while. As far as I know, nothing was ever said. Later on in the year, we were visited by an actual hero, the great Ray Simpson, VC DCM.
Footnote. Nearly 50 years later, I'd end up writing Simo's biography.
His Victoria Cross had been announced, and he dropped into the DAT to have a yarn with the diggers. He drank with us in the boozer, and when the duty officer arrived to close the bar, a bunch of us repaired to a patch of bush and bamboo with a cold carton. Simo took off his shirt and sat there in a white singlet, which was a major no-no to us. But he was the new god, and what were they going to do to him? Bags of Styles had the important job of looking after him and getting him to bed. What a night! The best so far.
Okay. And that was
End of
chapter
chapter.
19 from Two Ranks on the Road, 35 Years of Australian Special Forces Service by Michael J. Malone, as read by the author. So lots of fun going on
Yeah,
there at,
oh, great period.
yeah,
But finding that negligee in Hong Kong was absolute stroke of bloody luck that you never have in life normally.
Yeah,
Um,
and I didn't realize that when that you accidentally stumbled across it.
mm. I just got off the tram, and there it was, the shop right there.
Well, Sam had probably done the same thing when he was there on R&R.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so that those R&R trips, that they sound like they were fun. So, how much time did you get away in Hong Kong?
7 days.
Right,
Yeah, you had enough money to get you through, so you thought. As long as you didn't go near any Susie Wongs with MGBs,
right.
normally had a few quid left over at the
Yeah.
end.
So she saw you coming and and thought, all right, I'm going to take this young fella for everything.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. They can read men like books, those women.
Yeah. But she good on her, and you had a good time, and she
Oh
made her
yeah,
money, and
good time. Absolutely.
yeah, that's yeah, great stories and great memories. It's one of those things.
It
I
is.
mean, have you been back to Hong Kong since, or much since?
Yeah, your mother and I went to Hong Kong a few years ago, um, to Kowloon and
Hmm.
up the mountain
Different
on
kind of
the.
place now.
Sorry.
It's a different kind of place now. It's pretty
Yeah, the Grand Hotel was still there though.
yeah.
I was going to go in and ask him for where's my $20, but no, I didn't. Place looked totally different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so yeah, so lots of mischief going on at Nui Dat as well. The black market stuff and
Oh,
swiping extra cases of extra pallets of beer.
that's what happens in war times, mate. You let it roll, and things happen when they do. As long as you're not going to kill somebody, or
Yeah,
you know, um, you see the movie Kelly's Heroes. Those blokes are all scoundrels.
right. Yeah,
every every foul thing going, they had their hands in.
right. Hmm. And the other thing that you talk about in there is the sort of the difference between patrol commanders and how much that can change the how a patrol feels. And you said you had that one Kiwi patrol commander who was very anxious and very, I mean, so
Yeah.
how does that change the feel of a patrol when you've got a commander who doesn't know what he's doing or has very
Well,
specific.
I think we made the decision very early in the piece that we were going to play it cool. We were going to be the most laid back soldiers in history.
Hmm,
The Kiwis had come from um, Borneo, where they hardly saw an angry man. They got to Vietnam and it was a shooting war. And they probably thought that if they didn't watch their P's and Q's, they'd all wear one. And they had already lost a patrol commander.
right.
Um, Graham Campbell was shot on a track. I'll probably cover that later.
Hmm.
But yeah, bad news, Barclay. He was a good soldier, no two ways about that. But he wasn't our sort of good soldier. He was very foreign the way he worked.
Right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's and I guess that's and then filters down to the rest of the patrol with how you're feeling when you're out there in the bush.
Yeah, yeah. No, you kept an eye on Fred because he was like a mobile sentry,
Hmm.
but he
Yeah.
was always coming up with thumbs up or thumbs down or eyeballs.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And I mean
We just wanted to relax.
Clem Dwyer was your
Oh yeah, vastly different.
yeah.
Clem was later on. I was still in Chris Robertson's patrol at this stage. But Clem, my God, what a man!
Yeah, he seemed like he was the heroic one, or the one that you looked to or you remembered most fondly.
Yeah, he was the best patrol commander I ever had.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so we've got a little bit of a respite here from there's no bullets in this chapter, but they're coming. They're certainly coming. So we're going to get to that. Obviously, having the quiet downtime in between the moments of 5 cent, 10 cent are on their way. So we'll get to that in a future episode. But that is all the time we have this week for Never Die Wondering. Join us next week for the next installment in our exploration of Mick Malone's career as we get into the 20th chapter of the book itself, entitled Armed for Bear. If you have a copy of Two Ranks, read along with us. I've been Toby Malone. Thank you to Mick Malone for R&R'edly joining me on this journey.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, no worries. This has been Never Die Wondering, Mick Malone in his own words. For links to purchase your own copies of Mick's books, visit the show notes or mickmalone.com.au. This podcast is produced by Toby Malone, Joe Malone and Mick Malone, and engineered by Toby Malone. Theme music is The Happy Wanderer, the official SAS march, as reimagined by Cormac Malone and Meg Logue Malone. Yes, this is a family affair. This is a GM production in association with Imprimatur Books.